Hi, and welcome back to Designer to Full Stack's Copycat Design Series. I'm Kelly Barkhurst, and today we're in Illustrator, and we are looking at typographic layouts for your business card content. And these are designs that are part of the templates that Moo Cards has, and they are elegant, they are simple, they are modern. And today we're going to be looking at Helvetica and just playing with and learning some of the techniques to create a left alignment, a center alignment, a left center alignment, practicing with the sizing and how you align things, how you rotate typography. So hopefully this is helpful. So let's look at these first three designs. We have all three horizontal business cards using a sans-serif font. We can see that in this first one, we have scale change for Michael Henderson, and we have two blocks of text. So we have the name, and then we have all of the other content. So person's title, physical address, phone number, and email. And what I'd like to point out here is the style that this phone number has dashes between the numbers. This phone number uses just a space. This phone number, again, is using spaces for country code and area code, and then for the actual number, they're right next to each other. So there are different variations. Other options might be to put circles, like bullets, between the center or periods at the bottom. All right, so when we have Michael Henderson, this is a line of text, which means we use our text tool and we click once. And this gives us one line of text. I'm going to go ahead and type in Michael Henderson. Now I can switch back to my arrow. This allows me to have my text selected. And up here at the top in character, I can go ahead and choose Helvetica. If I don't have Helvetica or Helvetica Bold, if I'm using Adobe fonts, I can go to Find More. Make sure that none of these icons are clicked, and you can go ahead and search. So as I search, you can see I have all of these different variations. And if I want to download them, I click Add on this icon, this cloud icon on the right. All right, so we're going to go back and pick Helvetica Bold. Now I can change the size from here, or I can hold down Shift on my keyboard and from a corner click or drag. I do not let go of Shift on my keyboard until I have let go with my mouse first. This way I do not distort the text. So once I have it lined up, I can see the size is right around 18 points. So that's something to keep in mind for a very legible sans serif font. If you want your name to be the standout item, 18 points is a good size that you can look at. So let's look in comparison. This is a paragraph of text, multiple lines. So for this, I'm going to click and drag my text box. This gives me a box of text that I can change the size of. It's not distorting the characters or the text. It is simply changing the width of the frame that the text is within. I'm going to switch this to Helvetica Regular, and I'm going to size it down to maybe 9 to start with. Maybe it's 8. For this one, if I type in Technology Consultant, I can see this is left aligned, so I'm going to click Return, go to the next line. All right, so again, between every line, I click Return. Now I can click back to my black arrow. With my text box selected, I can choose my paragraph align left. Now I can move it over and see if it's about the right size. It looks like it just about is. 7's too small, maybe 7.8. Remember, you don't have to have a full 7, 8, 9. You can use any kind of decimal size. All right. So I can see that I've pretty much copied this design. So some of the things we want to think about is our internal margin. In web design, we're talking about this as being padding on the inside. In print design, we talk about it as being margin. So we know our business cards are 3.5 by 2. So I can drag a rectangle. I can make sure that it really is 3.5 by 2 in my shape size. I can switch so it is my stroke that has a color and not my fill. All right. So I can see that there is an intentional margin. And typically, we want our margins to be even to help create balance. I can grab my business card outline that I created, go to Object, Path, Offset Path. And this allows me to create another path inside, offset by an amount. So I have a negative point, let's say we say 1. If I tab, I can see it previewed. Now maybe I'll try 2 and tab. Not quite. So like 1.85. Pretty close. Maybe 1.7. Pretty close. Right, maybe 1.65. Okay, I think we're just about there. So what you can see is that this unit of content is about 0.165 inside of the exterior of the business card. And so this creates alignment and intentionality of where the placement is. So if I'm left aligned, or if I decided to add another piece of content or an image or an icon somewhere here on the right, I would align it within this internal rectangle. So I can say, okay. So one of the beautiful things you can do with an outline, and I'm going to move this outline by holding Alt Option. You can see I get a double arrow. Once I start moving it, I can hold down Shift and it will keep it lined up. And then I can let go. I can go to View, Guides, Make Guides. And what this does is it actually turns those rectangles into a guide. So now I have a margin guide to show me how to align things. So I can now move this text over as well using Alt Option. I could be really careful because I know it's an M. I could move my M over a bit to align because I do have that strong vertical on the stem of the M. So this would allow me that I could do a right align and then also a horizontal align right, and then move these over, right? So when I have my guide, I know exactly where to go with it. And if I zoom in, I can even move my in. So now it lines up with that line. So you can see where having guides and intentional margins can be really helpful. All right, so let's do the same thing when we're working with a center alignment. I'll option that down. Object, Path, Offset Path. And let's look what we've got with 3, with 6. Ooh, 0.5, 0.55, 0.58. It's pretty close, right? So what I notice here is that the email address aligns really nicely with our inset path here. But Atom Glass looks like it could actually have been moved up a little bit and it would be even more aligned in our design. So that's one of those things where if you're close to an alignment, I always say go ahead and force it. Do the fine tuning to get it very intentionally aligned. So I just optioned both rectangles over, and again, view guides, make guides, and now I get a nice guide. In this case, I would still choose Atom Glass to be a line of text. With a line of text, once we go back to our arrow, we can click all caps over in our character window. Okay. I can use, so because I have this rectangle of my business card size, I can hold down Shift and click so that I have Atom Glass and this rectangle selected. Then for align to selection or key object. So the key object is what's highlighted. So I can click to highlight my rectangle, and then I can say horizontal align center. and that will move my text to the center. I can choose to make it a little larger. So maybe it's like 10. I might do a center again. All right, so I can click off. Then interior designer, the phone number, and the email address are likely a text box, right? So I click and drag. I know it's centered, so I can click my paragraph center. It's not capped, so I can turn that off. And I can then start typing. So I have interior designer, return. And we can see this text is a little bit smaller than the name. All right, there we go. And again, we can shift click to the outside box, center. We can zoom in and make sure that we have this text sitting on the bottom. We can see the leading might be a little larger than what we have here. So we have our leading auto 9/10.8. So I can up it some. Maybe we do 11 and align it and we see that's a little closer. Again, we can align our text and we can make a line, a path, a stroke, either using our line segment tool, and we're going to give it a stroke of black, or we can use our pen tool to create it. And I can now select them, shift, 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 alt option, drag over, and be in pretty good shape, right? So I can select these items and align them to each other as well. Great. And if I was doing this, I would probably move Atom Glass up to the top, and I might decide if I want this to be even. You can see that in our mock-up, the line is a little closer to Atom than it is to Interior Designer. And I think that could be a personal preference of if you make the proximity a little bit closer to the name or if it's perfectly even. All right, let's look at our next horizontal design. So in this one, I want you to think about the same thing. We option down our outline, object, path, offset path, and this one, let's do a 0.3. Yeah, looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and move ours over. I'll option it over, view, guide, make guides. Okay, so we have restorationdefined.com, a line of text. So it has a black fill. It's going to be Helvetica. So restorationdefined.com. And it actually looks a little bolded. So maybe we'll do a bold. And we rotate it by putting our mouse to the top right corner and hold down shift and it will move it constrained. So in this case, we want it to be vertical. So it fills that space. So next we're going to do John Baxter. We can do a line of text here. JOHN, go ahead and return BAXTER. We want it to be left aligned paragraph, capital, so do all caps icon, shift on our black arrow to go ahead and expand the size. And to note on this one, it's just about 13 point. So again, if you are highlighting your name, perhaps 13, or in this case, 18, is a good size. Now, what we notice again is we have 3 areas of content, and we know that they're grouped by proximity. So we know that John Baxter is one name because it has a bolder text, it has a style of being in all caps, and it's close together. Then we have a break, And now we have a title and a contact information. And again, that's in its own grouping. So we want to keep that in mind when we're putting areas of text on our business cards, that we want them to make sense about how they're grouped. And this is an international number. All right. We don't want it all caps. So this is a differentiator between the name and title and contact information. It's some smaller text. It is either light or regular. Smaller still, right? So the reason, and it has slightly bigger leading. So the reason why we look at this is we start to learn, what does a professional, well-designed business card text look like? What is the size? So we can see copy information here is 9 and 13 in Helvetica. So if I move it over, I can bring it in. I can group this, Command G or Object Group, and I can decide, what is centered. So when you have an actual stroked rectangle, you can use it when you are using your alignment. So I could say horizontal align center. You can see everything jumped because I didn't make the key object the rectangle. If I'm saying the key object is the rectangle, that means the rectangle isn't moving. And now when I say center, it's moving John Baxter to the center. If we move this over, you can see John Baxter isn't actually centered. But one thing that we might want to see is it vertically centered? So here, vertical align center, it's not really that either, right? So there might be times where you would want to make sure it really is aligned, or sometimes you eyeball it for a different reason. So in this one, I would probably vertically align those, make sure they're in here, and then maybe move this over a little bit. So this is a great sampling of aligning text in a business card. One thing that I'll often also do is use the rectangle tool with a fill or sometimes just a stroke, and it helps me kind of visualize my groupings, and maybe sometimes I will resize it. But in this one, I can see these are all the same size, and it kind of lets me see that grouping and manually move things around versus always using the automatic alignment. All right, so hopefully this is a helpful design how-to for some examples of horizontal business cards and content layout for your text, as well as sizing and just getting used to laying out a business card in Illustrator. Thanks for watching this copycat video. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment about what you liked, what I can improve, or what topics you'd like me to cover next. Or, if you'd rather, take a moment to reflect and share the simple thought. What brought you joy today? Until next time, have a great day and happy designing.